Hello again. Today we are continuing our story about Abram, and today I will finally get to tell you how he got his name Abraham. The story is in Genesis 17, and we've been sort of waiting to find out why did his name get changed. And it all has to do with the fact that God wanted him to know that he was going to fulfill a very special promise. Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked about the fact that God made a covenant with Abraham. A covenant is a promise or a contract that can never ever be broken. When God makes a covenant with us, it's permanent. It is always there. There are no do-overs. It's just how things are going to be. So he came to Abraham 13 years after Ishmael had been born. So 13 years later, we continue our story. God came to him and said, Abram, I'm going to change your name. Your name is no longer going to be Abram, which means father, but it's going to be Abraham, which means father of many nations. That you're going to be the father of many, many, many people. And there you will, through your descendants, will be able to bless the whole world. Now, we mentioned before that one of those descendants is going to be Jesus. So we know that that's one of the ways that God blessed all people through Abraham. But the other thing was that Abraham said, okay, I appreciate that you keep telling me that, but I'm 99 years old and my wife is 89 years old. I don't think it's going to work out for us to be having children. And he said, Abram, a year from now, you will have a baby, and that baby's name is going to be Isaac. Now, God also said, not only am I making a promise to you, a covenant that can't be broken, I want you to make a covenant with me. And so there was a ceremony they did called circumcision. I'm not going to talk about that in detail, but it was a special ceremony that was done with all of the boys that were born and all of the men that were there at that time, to say, we will always remember that we have a special place with God, that he treats us as a special people, and that he loves us. And just like God doesn't break his promise to us, we will do our very best not to break our promise to God. Now, obviously, God does a better job of it than we do. But as I said, that's in verse 17. And he said, I will always love you. I will always take care of you. I need you to promise to love me and to lead your your family the way that I have led you. He also said that Sarah, which I've been calling her Sarah all along, Sarai meant bitter, but he said from now on she's going to be known as Sarah, which means princess, because she is going to be the mother of this great nation. So Sarah actually laughed when she heard that and thought, I'm too old to have a baby. I don't know what he's talking about. But as he said, a year later, there's going to be a baby, and that baby's name is going to be Isaac. So we'll be talking more about that as that comes up. This is like one of those cliffhangers that it just keeps going, because God sometimes does that with us, that we need to be patient and we need to wait, because we don't always know what God has planned for us, but we know that he is there and he's our heavenly Father. Now, as I mentioned, Abram's name changing to Abraham meant father of great nations. It's sort of cool that we are talking about Abraham's name being father on Father's Day. Now, I gave you something that you can celebrate with your father or with another person in your life who takes on some of that role, because some of us have fathers or grandfathers or uncles or brothers or very dear friends who help us understand what it is to be a father and what God is like, our Heavenly Father. So I gave you some stickers, and you can draw a picture on them, you can write words of encouragement, you can do whatever, and then I gave you water bottles that you can put them on. Now, I went ahead and put this one on this one that just says, I love you, and if you go on around, it says, thanks for loving me back. And if I could give this to my dad, that would be the kind of thing I would want him to know, is that I love him and that he always loved me back. Now, my dad is now in heaven and isn't here on earth, but still, I could give this to someone else, because there are a lot of people in my life who have helped me, that those times when I needed to have a dad, there was somebody there to help me out. And so I could do that. I also, just out of curiosity, in case you're curious, I put a little car, and I put mountains to remind me that one of the coolest things I used to do with my dad was to go camping. So you might want to draw some things that you do with your special person so that you can think about, what are the things that help me remember? Who has God put in my life to help me know about his love for me? I also gave you two gummy snacks, because my thought was that you could have one of these for the person that you're celebrating today, and you can have one for yourself. So each of you gets one to remember that God, when he makes a promise, he never breaks it, and that he helps us understand what love is by being our Father in heaven.